I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of the Village Council for the Village of Leonard. Today is the second Monday of the month, October 9th, 2017. I want to welcome everybody, wish you a happy Halloween, and remind you if you've got a cell phone, you might want to turn the volume down on the ringer, just so it's not as disruptive. Okay, we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a brief invocation. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we ask that you be with us in this meeting, guide the decisions that we make. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
We have a roll call for attendance of the Village Council.
President McDonald?
Here.
Mrs. Sotheby?
Here.
Mr. Amaranti?
Here.
Mr. Hoffman?
Here.
Mr. Kennedy?
Here.
I will recognize for the record that Officer Clerk Cindy Grosskopf is present, Treasurer Judy Verse is excused, and we also have our village attorney here this evening, Philip G. Atkinson. Welcome, Phil. Council has before it the minutes of the September 11th, 2017 meeting. Are there any questions, changes, or corrections? If none, a motion to approve the minutes would be in order.
I so move.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of the minutes of September 11th, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Okay, council has before it an agenda. My apologies. You'll note that I have the dates wrong for minutes, which was, I think some copies say March 13th of 2016, and the second page has April 10th of 2017. I must have cloned them from a different template than I usually use. Okay, council has before it a proposed agenda. Are there any additions, deletions? If none, a motion to approve the agenda would be in order.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I'll second.
All in favor of the motion to approve the agenda as submitted, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Okay, council has before it the treasurer's report for the month of September. Are there any questions or changes? If none, a motion to approve and receive and file the report would be in order.
I make a motion we receive and file the treasurer's report.
I'll second that.
Are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none, could we have a roll call for that, please?
Mr. Amaranti?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
President McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mrs. Sotheby?
Yes.
Okay, next item on the agenda are accounts payable for the month of September. Council received those items. Are there any questions, changes, or corrections? If none, a motion to pay the bills out of the appropriate funds at the amounts on the report. They're not on the agenda today.
I'd like to make a motion to pay the bill.
Okay.
I'll support.
That would be in the amount of $25,320.67 for the general fund, $21,190.10 for the major fund, and $2,459.05 for the local fund. So the motion stand?
Motion stands.
All supported?
Yes.
Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the, I guess we'll do a roll call for that, please.
Mrs. Sotheby?
Yes.
President McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Amaranti?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Okay, at this time, it's an opportunity for the public to address the village council. We ask that you make your comments brief and to the point, so everybody has a chance to speak. And realize that the council may choose not to respond, but we're certainly willing to listen to what you have to say. So with that, does anyone care to address the council tonight? On a matter that's not on the agenda, you will have a chance to speak 2 items on the agenda. Mr. Rathburn?
Yeah, I've looked at the master plan many different times. Are we redoing that, or is that
Yes.
that's being done?
Yes.
Okay. How is that moving along?
It's moving along very well now. Thank you.
Well, I see our village, it seems to be, I've looked at statistics and it shows that we had more going on in the late 1800s than we do now. I think it's time to,
Well, as a former council member, I'm sure you can appreciate that more than most.
but I think there's ways to make this village move forward.
We're always looking for volunteers, Dave.
Well, that, I wouldn't mind doing that.
As long as it doesn't cost anything.
I don't
Right?
charge.
Okay. All right.
I don't pay taxes on it.
Are you, is that your comment then?
Well, that's basically it. I just,
So you're dissatisfied with the way things are and you want to change them?
I want to change them. I looked at the master plan, and it basically, the one we have says that the community does not want growth, and I find that offensive because I was here and I did not vote on that. I don't recall we voted on that, so I don't know how anyone could say that.
Okay.
We need some commercial and we need some industrial growth. Our residential seems to be right on target for the statistics from up through 2010. But we haven't gotten any growth in the commercial or industrial area, which I think we can. Those are the money makers. We're financially sinking, is the way I see it. And we need to find somebody, I want to find somebody to pay the taxes so I don't have to pay as much. So I'd like to address the village at some point here in the near future. Put me on the agenda.
Well, you contact the clerk's office and that can be arranged. Okay. Anybody else care to talk?
I got a quick question.
Yes.
Don't he own half the buildings here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, then that's a big
Here's
start.
why. It's real simple. You get sewers and I'll have.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
That's as simple as
There's,
that.
and the council,
Taxes.
Cindy? Cindy?
Hush.
Okay. Thank you. Thank
Told her
you.
to hush.
The council has not been sitting on its hands. We've discussed sewers and we've discussed the Water Resources Commission at great length and great detail. But as an aside, and not to take up too much time, there's 400 plus residents in the village, which means there's less than 200 families. And most of those families aren't going to pay $15,000 or $20,000 each for a sewer system. So there's a need that has to be addressed, and it's not going to be addressed anytime
Mike,
soon.
That's not, you don't write them.
I'm not here to argue, I'm just informing,
No, I'm not
okay?
arguing at all. I'm just
Okay.
saying that's
Well,
over 20 years.
And we appreciate your comments, so. Okay, does anybody else have a comment? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, hi, my name is Kathy Perkowski. I live off of Rosie Drive. And we've been living here for 14 years. And quite honestly, this past year, 2 years, 3 years, this is the worst I've seen this village. It is filthy. We live on the other side of Rochester Road. The streets, like where the curbs are, there's like this much dirt, soot. I don't know if there's people renting some of the houses around there, but there's weeds this high. I mean, it's just, cares to have family and friends come over sometimes. Close your eyes when you're coming through the village of Leonard.
It just seems like the aesthetics have gone down.
Right.
It just seems like it ruins, really.
Well, we appreciate the comment, and it's shared by a number of people that are here tonight. And one of the reasons that tonight we are adopting a new municipal code of ordinances that includes property maintenance regulations and rental unit regulations in an attempt to address the concerns that you're seeing as well. And I think you'll be happy with the new streets, with the curbs and gutters that are gonna be going in this month. It's a bit disruptive for everybody's lives as far as driving goes, but I think it'll be worth it in the long run. So please give us a chance to try and address those concerns. We're trying to get the tools in place.
When it comes to things with the village too, in reading, there's a lot of kids that are in high school that have to do so many hours of community service. Could you reach out to the schools and see if they want to come and pull weeds?
We-
Maybe even around the buildings and stuff like that?
We certainly could, and we have.
Yeah, they are lazy, but they have to have it for graduation.
Yeah, it'll be crunch time.
Right.
Yeah, no, we do. We get a lot of, actually, we get a number of community service people from different sources. The weekend misdemeanors programs and, right. We're always looking for help. Okay, thank you though. Anybody else?
I did.
Yes.
I don't believe any of us got a financial report.
No, we didn't. Nobody got a financial report out here.
You
We
wanna-
normally do.
Okay, well.
Oh, no, I just didn't
In the
know.
absence of our village treasurer, I was remiss, and I apologize. I was kind of scrambling
I
at
didn't
the
know
last
that was
minute.
just forgotten.
But I will, it will be available, if you want to stop up Wednesday. I think we'll have, well, I can probably give you my copy after the meeting, just in
Fine.
case.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mike, going back to, where is the nearest sewer tap? Would it be by the point?
It would be either, Oxford at the Bar Road, where the, mobile home park is, or Oakland Township is. They have water almost to 32 Mile, but I
So we're
don't.
talking miles away.
Oh, absolutely. And unfortunately, we're not even on the SEMCOG. SEMCOG is the regional planning division of the government, basically. And we're not even on the maps for water or sewer. So we're pretty much on our own.
Well, I don't think water's a concern, but I know these people right here, this whole area. You know, just like this gentleman here, the store next door. When I first came to town, I said, boy, that'd be great for just like a little pub area. And then I heard it says, is this really a dry town?
Yes, it is.
Who can change that? Can we change it as a town or a council?
Well, the problem is that, yes, but the problem is that we don't have the sewers that would enable any type of establishment that, you know, has to have facilities for people to use, because
So
there's,
basically, that place next door only has a septic for maybe a couple people, is what you're saying?
right, basically. The previous owners had to pump it regularly. There was no field for it, basically.
Where are the fields for this? Where are they here?
Well, you have to remember, when the village was platted, it was platted on small lots because people had outhouses.
Right.
So all these lots downtown never anticipated the need for a septic field. So small septics were put in, but we don't have good soils anyways.
Right.
So it becomes problematic. And the village council, myself, and the township board, Bruce Pearson and I have appealed to a number of officials, Senator Marlowe, and also Mike Bishop's office, to see if there's any Department of Agriculture money or anywhere we can get some. It's actually easier to get road money than it is to get sewerage money. It's just the way it is.
Right.
So, yeah, we are, it's not like we're ignoring it, but it's just like we've got nowhere to go with it if you don't have a pocket full of cash, so.
What if a business came in here and said, I'll make the right stuff for an engineered septic field, or at that matter, you know, I mean?
Well, it can be done.
That
I
can
mean,
be, yeah.
Cooper Standard,
But I mean-
Cooper Standard did that.
Well, right, but
I
like
mean-
Mr. Rathburn said over here, and I don't wanna bring up a sore subject, but, he owns most of the town. Is he willing to put that money in there and make that stuff work? You know, I mean, it's just,
Yeah, it takes an effort of everybody. It's not, it takes a village, okay? I mean, I hate to paraphrase it or whatever, but, there aren't enough volunteers. It takes more than that, you
But
know?
if the building owners are willing to put that money into it,
Yeah.
where's the village to stop them from putting that money into it to make it work?
Nobody's stopping them from fixing up their places.
So basically, they gotta put the money where the mouth is. Fix
Basically.
it up.
Okay. Cindy?
This is just quick.
Okay, Cindy.
And I know you can answer, it's kind of you. Do you have anything to do with Lapeer County Trail? Do you get together with them?
The Pollyann Trail?
Yeah.
I have attended their meetings, the front,
Whoever they use to fix that trail.
Oh, I know.
It is horrible.
yeah.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Well, I'm well aware of it.
When I'm picking out branches at the convicts and throwing it in my ditch every time I'm cleaning it out every month, trust me,
Well,
I understand that trail.
She's referring to Lapeer.
Oh, this is Leonard, I'm talking about Leonard.
And that's the pick on your personal note.
But she has the floor. Cindy?
Thank you.
Okay.
If you
Okay.
could just give that word to them, or
Yeah.
with that person.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people go further and you can't.
Yeah,
It will
we-
destroy your bike.
I actually went up and took a look at it after the day they did it, and I was not impressed, so. Okay, moving on, hopefully. First item of business, and the one that I think a lot of people here are interested in, is the codification of the village ordinances. The Village Council has received previously the codified ordinances, which are basically ordinances that we've had since most of them were last reviewed in 1979. So they were a bit overdue for updating because laws change, and as they change, you have to stay on top of them in order to make them enforceable. So we had a kind of a mishmash of ordinances that have become, some of them had become outdated, and our village attorney, Phil Adkisson, met with me, met with members of the village council, and his solution, tongue-in-cheek, it was his idea to do this, and he put his money where his mouth is, and he's gotten us to this point where he has taken the ordinances that we had and updated them to make them enforceable in today's courts. Plus, he has brought us into the realm of being able to help people manage their property by having some authority to correct things when they're not doing it or not doing it the right way. And we've got some rental registration and regulations in there as well. So, Phil, is there anything you'd care to add at this point?
I would just say that, am I gonna stand up?
You're fine.
The whole process of codification is one that's allowed by statute, contemplated by statute, which recognizes that municipalities over a long period of time adopt numerous ordinances. Some of them actually begin to conflict with each other or inconsistent in some minor or sometimes major ways. The laws that were on the state books, the state statutes that give you authority to do certain things change over time. So sometimes you'll pass an ordinance which was lawful at the time it was passed, and sometimes unknown to you, that at the state level they change that authority or modify it in some way that requires attention to the ordinance. So we have about 30 ordinances, might have been 29 or so, that we took a look at. We tried to consolidate related matters into identifiable chapters in the code that you have, and address new matters that you thought were appropriate. You mentioned a couple of property maintenance and rental. And update other ordinances where you had already addressed the subject matter, but either additional authority had come along, or maybe the case law had changed and you had better ideas about how to regulate. So you've got essentially what you had before, updated and put into a logical sequence. And so it will be easier to keep up to date. I think it will be easier to find things. We furnished you tonight with a digital copy of it so you can search for key words, which would be very useful, I think, for you and for the citizens if they wish to find something. So I think you have a lot more tools if you pass this tonight than you had before. And we have a high degree of comfort that what we've done is lawful. So that if you do have to use it, there won't be concern about offenses because we would allow change in the ordinance and not so forth. So took a lot of time working. Mike, I gotta congratulate you You spend a lot of hours reading, proofreading, rereading, making suggestions, and the council as well. And my staff, we've burned through several people in the course of putting this together. And if I ever quote you to do an ordinance like this again, it'll be a different one than I quoted you. I can tell you that. But I don't regret it. It was a great experience, and I think you'll end up with a really nice start to taking a fresh look at dealing with some of the problems these folks have mentioned here tonight.
Thank you. On behalf of the council, Phil, thank you. We appreciate it. Okay, council, we have before us a resolution of adoption for the ordinance. So before I open it up for public discussion, is there any questions from the village council? If none, anybody have any comments? Phyllis?
Regarding the rental, are these people that are renting houses right now in these houses that are not like up to code and some of them are even dangerous? Are they grandfathered in, or can they be now looked at?
No, there's a set of parameters that it's biannually, every 2 years?
It's every 3 years for units that are 6 or more in number, and then it's when the house is sold. I say house, when the unit is sold, or there's a transfer for single family units.
So whereas before we all required was a person that was renting to register the home with the village, that's all we did. Now we will have a legal standing to, and also I believe there's a complaint process too, as well.
I just wondered, what will we do, because really and truthfully, most of these houses that have grass this high, junk thrown out the window, all this stuff are rental houses. So we've got to do something about rental houses, and I just wondered, being as you're getting this, can we now do that?
Yeah, we had our other older ordinances dealt with hazardous buildings, but the standard was so much, they had to be in such worse shape, dilapidated, structurally unsound, before we could take action. This ordinance says, okay, there's a set of parameters where if there's a problem, the village can actually take action to address it.
Section, chapter 12, 12.5 provides for the inspection, and then also provides that if the inspection discloses a violation, if there's not a serious health hazard involved, you can have a temporary CO because issues while it's resolved, but no unit can be occupied if it's out of compliance. Otherwise, there has to be a certificate in order to be occupied.
So then are you saying that...
to be occupied, you have to pass the inspection.
Okay. If it's occupied right now, are you saying that you can inspect it right now, or do you have to have a complaint from somebody before you go and inspect?
All existing rental units are to be registered, and if it's 6 or fewer, they get inspected every 3 years. So there'll have to be a regimen set up to begin the inspection process. So you could conceivably have someone who's occupying a dwelling now, and they'll get inspected fairly shortly. They can be out of compliance, and we won't be throwing people out of the unit. We'll be working with the owner
To get it updated. Okay.
And I mean, obviously, at the end of the day, if people refuse to cooperate, there are pretty onerous, draconian remedies that are available to the village for people who won't cooperate.
So who will be inspecting?
Well, that'll be probably be yours truly via our building official. We'll have to administer that.
Because, like I said, that is the biggest problem in this village, is the rentals.
Well, and
Pretty much everybody that owns their home keeps it up pretty good.
you have to remember too that there's going to be some costs, not just in time, but also if we do have to issue tickets, go to court, etc., which is fine, because sometimes that's what you have to do to get the word out that you're serious about it. But it takes resources too from the village, that we're all part-time, and we do have, the village is at our priority, but it's not the only priority, so.
But it's every 3 years for the inspections. I know Madison Heights does bi-yearly, I know other places do yearly, so I mean, I see it firsthand in my trade.
We're trying not to be overly harsh.
Oh, yeah.
Unless it proves that we need to get harsher, and we can always, as we did here, if we need to change something, we can amend the code with Phil's help, and we'll address it. But we had to start somewhere, and this seemed like a good starting place, because not all the rental units are bad. Most of them are, but not all.
How many rentals do we have in this village?
We're a lot now. A lot.
Registered, I think we have 4 or 5, but I think there are more than that too. The problem is, we have to chase it down. Yes, ma'am.
Does this apply just to residents, or what about some of the, like the gas station, what that's turned into, Leonard Market, their parking lot? I mean, it's just, there's still a lot of...
Right. There's been a lot going on with the store. They put the facade on, which is real nice, but then they started to add on, and it's kind of blown up and stopped. And we're trying to work through that with them, our building official, the Department of Health, MDAR, the Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development. We're all working together, but it really comes down to the owners. If the owners, this is America. If they don't want to do something, they'll stall, drag their feet, not spend money, not maintain, until somebody makes them. And so that's kind of where we are tonight, is word's going to get out pretty quick that we've done this, and hopefully that'll spur some of them to action. Okay. Any other questions?
Where can we find the exact details of these changes?
Well, it's going to be online. As soon as I get the download, we'll put it up on the village website, the entire code. That can be, and it'll be searched, it'll be a PDF, so you can download it and or search it online. I'm going to say by the end of the week, we have to publish notice in the Oxford Leader that we've adopted this. That'll probably go in next Wednesday, and that's when it will basically go into force.
And you'll have a copy, a hard copy here.
Yeah, and there will be a hard copy here at the village offices for people to review as well.
Yeah. One other question?
Sure.
Say the majority of us don't like some of these changes.
Mm-hmm.
If you've already voted on it, what do we do at that point?
Come back to the council and complain. But you've been living under, the vast majority of you have already been living under. Where we needed to make the changes were areas where we're getting complaints and didn't have the tools to do anything about. And as I said, we're going to have, there'll be a process here where we're going to have to, we may be too harsh or not harsh enough in order to get the results we want. So yes, we can absolutely modify the ordinance.
Okay.
Not saying we will to everybody's wishes, but that's it. Yes, Mr. Rathburn, brief and to the point.
Oh, it is. Could you make sure that it's in the township library so we can access that?
I will investigate that.
Well, if it's online, can't they get it from the computer at the township?
It's nice to just sit in the library too.
That's
It's hard to
doable.
read things online sometimes.
That's doable.
Make it big print too.
You're gonna have 3 of those books, that's how thick it's gonna be.
Kmart still has $1.99 magnifying glasses. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, so are there any, if there's no further questions, I'm going to ask the village council, do you want me to read the adoption language, or do we want to waive the reading? It's entirely, I can read it if the public wants to hear the adoption language. It's basically pro forma, but it's It's we're adopting, actually, we're adopting another ordinance to adopt and enact a new code for the Village of Leonard, providing for the repeal of certain ordinances not included therein, providing a penalty for the violation thereof, providing for the manner of amending such code, and providing when this ordinance and code enacted shall hereby become effective. So, I'm looking for a motion from the council then.
No extra charge for the two uses of therein and thereof, but
Thank you, Phil.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the codification for the Village of Leonard as so stated.
I'll second that.
Very good. Are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none, could we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
President McDonald?
Yes.
Mrs. Sotheby?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Amarante?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. That's the first step. Now that we've adopted the ordinance, you'll find another resolution that, I do have a couple extra copies, I think, up here. This is a resolution of the Leonard Village Council to establish fees for services, permits, and applications, required security, and assessment of fines. Basically, these, most of these fees in that we had already amended, if you recall, earlier this year. But because we're adopting the ordinance and the way the ordinance is written, we need to address basically everything. So there have been a few changes in amounts, but essentially we're still lower. Our building fees and our planning fees are lower than any community in the area. Of course, we don't have a lot of growth, but hopefully, you know, this won't prohibit it. And it's necessary for us to adopt this so that it aligns with the code. So are there any questions from the council or?
Don't raise no fees. Go to Addison Township, that's why they don't pull permits.
I didn't hear that. You want to say that louder, Steve, so we can get it on there?
Addison Township, there's real money, I ain't paying it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
They're as tight as it is, they don't want to spend more money on permits.
Here you go, Steve. This is your copy.
Yeah.
Okay, you pick it up.
Put that fire right down the house.
Okay. Okay. Are there any other questions? Council, public? Okay. We know who's here and we know who's not here. Is there a motion then to offer this resolution to establish fees for services, permits, and applications, required security and assessment of fines? Is there a motion to adopt that?
I make a motion, we adopt this resolution.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none, can we have a roll call vote then for adoption?
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Amarante?
Yes.
President McDonald?
Yes.
Mrs. Sotheby?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Okay. Does that conclude it, Phil? Did we nail it? All right.
Be sure and publish the notice.
Right. I will, before you leave, Phil, I got something here for you. And it's not on the agenda, folks, but I wanted to do this. Phil's been our attorney for over 31 years and been a damn good one. Kept the village, he saved us a lot of money. He's gone way out of his way to help us. So the council and I discussed it and we've got a resolution of appreciation. Phil, if you would allow me, I'd like to read it. This is a resolution of appreciation for Philip G. Adkisson, Esquire. Whereas in the annals of history, few if any persons or organizations share a relationship with the village of Leonard as long-standing as that of Philip G. Adkisson of Adkisson, Need, Allen, and Rentrop. And whereas since the village association with Mr. Adkisson began in 1986 and continued after 1995 when he merged with other partners to create the firm that has become known as Adkisson, Need, Allen, and Rentrop. And whereas Philip G. Adkisson has served as legal counsel to the trustees of the Village of Leonard for more than 30 years. And whereas through times of change, Whereas true to its selfless commitment and longstanding service to the village, the firm has played an instrumental role in managing the village's legal functions over the past 31 years, including through invaluable transitional and ongoing support for newly elected and appointed officials as well as the council as a whole. And whereas through times of change, Mr. Atkinson has continuously demonstrated his willingness and ability to serve and protect the village's legal interests while supporting and advancing key initiatives at the heart of Leonard's service to the public mission. And whereas as the trustees and officers of the village desire to recognize the outstanding assistance of Philip G. Atkinson and his excellent partners, attorneys, and staff, both past and present, and to thank them for the immeasurable contributions they and their predecessors have made to the village of Leonard over more than 30 years of service. Therefore, be it hereby resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Leonard that enormous gratitude and appreciation are expressed to Philip G. Atkinson for his many contributions to the Village of Leonard, dating from the last 3 decades of its existence until today, and that Philip G. Atkinson has served over the years as legal counsel to the trustees of the Village of Leonard and is hereby commended and sincerely thanked not only for his superb advice and counsel in this role, but also for his essential and steadfast service to the village, and that the trustees express deep appreciation for his ongoing work to represent the Village of Leonard and its associated commissions and committees in a full range of legal matters, recognizing the value that continues to inure to the benefit of the village and its residents from this long-standing and very special relationship, and that this resolution be saved upon the minutes of the Village Council for the Village of Leonard as part of the permanent record of the village. Is there a motion from the Village Council to approve this resolution and enter it in minutes?
I so move.
Is there
Second.
support? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Phil? Our help. Is working with people, and Phil's gone out of his way for us. So thank you for it.
Well,
And you're
very humble. Thank all of you. Thank you for the
They don't do that in the courtroom, do
They
they?
just don't.
But thank you, Phil, so
Thank you
much.
very much. I truly am humble, and I'm very appreciative. And as you know, Mike, I've enjoyed the relationship. I really have.
As did we, and myself, I'm speaking for myself as well. It's been great.
I'm going to whip this up, show my wife to see if I go.
Safe home, Phil.
Just don't sit on it.
Okay, thank you all for your support and indulgence in doing that. Watch out for the deer on the way home, Phil. I know
I
you.
always get told that when I leave.
Okay.
Good luck, and if we have to meet,
Good. Thank you, Phil. Thanks for coming out. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the Oakland County IT authorizations for geographic applications. Council, you will recall that last meeting you authorized me to enter into a contract for pictometry services. But in the course of doing that, it was learned that in order to have that service, we have to have a contract, still free, but we have to have a contract with the county as well. So, because we already have even though we still already avail ourselves of certain services through the county, this is their thing. So they sent out a 28-page contract. Glad Phil's not here, 'cause he'd probably say, why didn't I see that? But I'm asking for authorization on behalf of the village to enter into those contract agreements to provide free IT services. They're basically geographic in nature. It's not for statistics, village statistics and things like that. So a motion to authorize the village president to enter into those agreements would be appreciated.
I'll make a motion for the president to.
I'll second it.
Oakland County Building Officials Association.
No, this is
No, number two.
number 2.
Oh, okay, Oakland County IT.
Keep that on the burner, Paul. We'll use that
Yeah.
that one too, the next one.
Read the wrong one.
There's no cost, and it's a good service, so. Is there a motion then?
Yes.
Sure, supported.
Is there support?
Sure.
All right, thank you. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Oakland County Building Officials Association. As Mr. Johnson is probably aware, every community that adopts the state building code is required to have the state building code at its offices. The state, I guess, it's nothing that's been enforced in the past, but the state now requires us to have all applicable codes yearly. So every year there's a code change. Even though we're a state building code community, we have to have all the other codes present, available for the public. We can do so electronically. The cost is $16,000 a year. So the Oakland County Building Officials Authority, of which we are a member, has gotten together 26 communities in Oakland County, and it would cost us $700 a year to use their access in order to provide this information to the public. So I'm recommending that we authorize the village president to enter into the agreement to be one of the participating communities at that cost.
I think it's a ripoff.
It's
Sorry.
it's kind of like the Drain Commission in a way.
Yeah.
You're right. It's all these years and they never charged for anything, and now they charge us and we don't get anything anyway. So
Right.
I'm not sure. But it's the law.
I understand.
And that's where we're kind of hamstrung. So is there any comment? If none, I'm looking for a motion to authorize the village president to
I'd like to make a motion for the village president to enter into the agreement and get the services required for $700.
700.
700.
I'll support.
Are there any questions on the motion? Now, I'll need a roll call for that because it's an expenditure.
Mrs. Sotheby?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
President McDonald?
Yes,
Mr. Amarante?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
thank you. Okay, council has before it a Elmwood Street bond resolution. As you recall, we did one of these back in September, but we have to amend it because the bond did not sell at the public auction, and so it became a negotiated sale that we negotiated, and finally Oxford Bank stepped up and bought our bond. So there's, basically we changed the past ordinance, or the past resolution, because we stated that it was going to be a book entry only and would be entered into in the name of a different company as the depository trust. And we negotiated that the bonds, in such manner that the bonds won't be a book entry only, and that the village would be acting as the paying agent and transfer agent, and the transfer agent with Oxford Bank. So it actually should result in a small savings doing it that way, but it does change the original resolution. So a motion and would be in order to make this change.
I'll make a motion to make the change in the Elmwood Street bond resolution.
I'll second.
Supported by Mr. Kennedy. Are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none, roll call please.
President McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman? Mrs. Sotheby?
Yes.
Mr. Amarante?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Okay, most important item of the night, the Halloween trick-or-treat date and time in Leonard. When are we gonna have trick-or-treat?
When's
Halloween, Tuesday, the 31st is Halloween.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I'm not a very good clerk, I'll tell you, or treasurer, apparently. My apologies, it's on my agenda.
Okay.
Number 5, council, with your indulgence, will add an item under new business, Halloween trick or treat date and time. Be Tuesday. I'm recommending the same date as other communities, which is October 31st, Tuesday, from 6 to 7 p.m. Is there a motion to that effect?
I so move.
I'll second it.
Any questions on the motion?
Yeah, is the fire department going to be involved in that?
I believe they're going to have their usual Halloween party, but I haven't verified it. Okay, all in favor of the motion to make October 31st the Halloween date from 6 to 7, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Okay. Right, moving on to old business. Elmwood Street project, well, it started, folks. We're chloriding the roads, we graded and chlorided the dirt roads, so we tried to keep the traffic that's going to be bypassing, keep the dust down. Are there any questions about it? There is a progress, I've got a few schedules here.
If I so find there's a bazillion people coming down our street because they don't need to, can I call you and maybe have it blocked off like we did the one time?
Yeah.
I'm
I
not,
would
hopefully not looking forward to that, but you never know.
No, I understand, no,
They
that's,
fly down.
I thought of you specifically when I got the chloride. But,
I figured you did.
but yeah, but no, let me know, any resident down there, if there's a problem, and I'll get the sheriff out here too, you know, if they break the speed limits down there.
It's 55.
Yeah. Not on Beza.
Yeah.
Yes, it
Yes,
is.
it is.
Gravel
Yeah, it
road.
is.
There.
Yes, it is.
No, it's residential community.
It's a dirt road.
55.
Doesn't matter.
It's 55.
Apparently,
Sorry,
there's not enough
55.
driveways on it to make it residential.
Yeah, you have to have 60 driveways per mile.
How many?
Per
60.
mile.
Per mile.
60 per mile.
So that would break down into
Can we just-
about 15. We have 15?
The way I've been counting lately, I could probably,
Seriously, you can't somehow, I don't know, talk to
I will
the
talk-
police or something and get that lowered?
I will talk to the traffic engineers,
Yeah,
our
that's
engineers,
crazy.
because
I
it,
agree, because I have kids that can't, there's no sidewalk where I'm at South Carolina. So what I make them do is ride their bikes down Gaza.
Right.
Well, I don't need people going through, I'm doing it for safety because Rochester Road, they think is 50.
And I hear the animals are going upstairs.
like, the process we have to go through, it does take a little time and it takes a little money, which we're gonna have to look at the budget, but the bottom line is we have to have a traffic study done where they put the meters out, or the engineer, they physically count cars and for 24 hours, 2 or 3 times in a period of time.
And they do it Strawberry Festival time. and
Yes.
something's
Yeah.
going on.
We just go by the street sign, say 25, pound that thing in the ground, and
Exactly.
play it, please.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's what I was thinking.
That would be more cost effective.
one in the garage.
So officially, we can't say that we'll do that, but it certainly will look at, we can definitely put some signs up to slow them down during construction, that's for sure. So,
I hope so,
Okay.
because I'll be at your doorstep with my dead animal.
don't I know that?
I know you do.
Okay. If there's no other questions, we'll move on to the Whitehead.
Just real quick.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Simple stuff, sorry. What are they doing with the asphalt millings and the fill dirt?
You need to talk to, you're talking to me, I guess. I did tell them, and they said they were gonna talk to, the last I heard, they thought they might have some.
Okay.
They didn't quote a price, so I don't know how much, but he said, the guy's name is Scott Dickerson, and he drives a white truck for TG Pre.
I'm on the road so much, it's
Okay.
tough for me. I mean, I can leave you my number so you got it.
Yeah, okay.
But, I mean, aren't we paying for the roads getting done and it'd be closer for trucking if they brought it and dumped it in my backyard?
Well,
I mean,
oh, yeah, yeah.
Are they?
Yes, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. It would be, and generally, unless they have
But
them
instead
sold
of
to
them
somebody,
charging us
they're
for
willing
them
to do
dumping
that.
it.
And I did bring that up at the
That's what he's
pre-construction.
saying. It's they don't know the fee is
I
yet
got,
for them to
I got
do it.
probably one of the most accessible yards in Leonard, with a semi, bring a double train in the back,
So,
you know?
so the bottom line is,
I'm closer.
if you get me your phone number,
Okay.
and I'll make sure.
Yeah, all right, that'd be cool.
Okay. Another item on my to-do list.
Yeah, but we're saving that.
I'm just trying to save the truck, because-
Yeah, unfortunately though, MDOT controls how we spend
Right.
the money.
Yeah.
Well, I know a lot of those guys are trying to save a truck, you know, one guy's when they did the road, they said 300, and our one said 200, at the end they said it was 100 a truck, I'm like, sign me up, man, I'll take it for 100, not 300.
Okay, moving on then. The Whitehead Street Drain Project, council knows, it is complete. Don reseeded and cleaned up the area after the construction was done. Originally, we were quoted a $14,000 price, but as you know from the last meeting, we spent another $2,000 for a vacuum Vector truck to suck out 2 of the culverts that were leading to it. And it turned out one of those culverts had to be replaced. Bottom line was they gave me a bill for $20,000 some dollars. So I've negotiated with them, and they've worked with us. So they've come down to $16,500, which is $2,500 more dollars than we originally agreed to. But I spoke with Phil about it. It was a verbal contract. We changed it, or it was changed. So both sides have standing. So I felt it was better to try and negotiate a price rather than have to fight over it, go to court or whatever. So I'm asking the council tonight to authorize an additional $2,500 from the contingency fund to be transferred for use to pay the balance of that project off. So the total amount will end up being $16,500 to the contractor and approximately $2,000 for the contractor that brought in the truck, the Vector truck. But the
So we're
residents are-
talking 18,000?
18.5.
By the
Wow.
time it's all done.
Yeah.
So, is there any questions? You have to remember too, I tried all, or I should say Don and I tried all spring and summer to get somebody to, nobody wanted the job, it was just not big enough. So we got a window of a week to get it done, and we did, but it's gonna cost us, so. Okay, so is there a motion then to authorize $2,500 from contingency to go to, paying off that difference?
I so move.
Second it.
Mr. Hoffman? Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Amoranti?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
President McDonald?
Yes.
Mrs. Sotheby?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Thank you. Okay, my final item under old business is the Planning Commission. It looks like we're going to have at least one opening and possibly 2. So we're looking for residents that would be interested in working on the Planning Commission. It's a rewarding job. It's not real busy normally, although I suspect we might be getting a little busier with site plans and that if we get any more new construction or interest or repairs done to commercial and residential homes. But if you would, just leave your name and number at the village clerk or leave a phone message and we'll get back to you. Okay, DPW update. We're getting ready for winter. The truck clutch went out today. I think it was a broken cable. So Don got the part. I don't know if he got it fixed. Meanwhile, the chloride trucks were coming, so they did some grading for us. So we'll probably get nailed for a little extra money for their assistance in that regard. But I don't have a bill yet. Okay. There were no, under the President's report, there were no Freedom of Information Act requests. We're still waiting from Block Grant for a decision on the roof application. Any word there? Under ordinance enforcement, we still have 2 active cases. which the new ordinance should help us out with considerably. And that's pretty much it for me. Trustee committee reports, Summer Festival Committee.
We had our Texas Hold'em. We gave, I can't remember, it was over $1,000.
Great.
Just planning doesn't start till January, but we're always looking for new people.
Okay, thank you, Phyllis. Cable Commission? Sure.
Not much to report. We've had a resignation, so things are going to change, and that happened to be our treasurer, so I'm not sure where that's going to go.
Okay, Decorating Committee?
Status quo.
Okay. Planning Commission?
We're finalizing the master plan. It's going to review, and it's going to be sent to neighboring cities and posted in the Oxford Leader and the appropriate required legal notices. The Planning Commission is going to finally finalize its review in November, and then we can pass it along to the council.
Sounds good. Thank you. Nice tan. Okay, moving on, Pollyant Trail Management Council. I think I hinted around last month that the council has been looking at asking for a 10% increase from member communities, of which we are one, but that hasn't been finalized yet, so I don't know where. We have a meeting October 18th at Addison Township, and that's open to the public. Main Street, I think we know Main Street's torn up, so I guess we'll pass on that.
It is.
Village Park, we got a meeting, Mike?
Supposed to be one Wednesday.
Wednesday?
Supposed to be a work party on Saturday, correct?
Is that what we planned?
I think it's on,
For Saturday.
yeah, it's on my calendar.
Have a work day.
Are we still gonna have a meeting?
How about I let you know tomorrow?
Okay, that'd be good. So there's a work day, and it's a volunteer work day. Any village resident or anybody actually can come out and help. We mow grass, pull weeds. This time of year, we'll probably be winterizing the trees and shrubs in the parks around, trying to keep the deer off of them for the winter. Okay. Pardon? We're not trying to drive them out. We're just trying to keep the ornamentals nice, you know? Yeah. Okay, NODA, NODA, big news there is that they've actually adopted two more, or I should say two new routes that were formerly only part-time. They've gotten incredibly busy in the past few months, and it's going well. They've got the funding, they've got more than enough money to do it, so it looks good for all our residents. The History Study Committee, nothing new there. Did anybody go to that library? I didn't go.
I did.
Was it good?
Yeah, it was. I was.
Okay, and the last official item I have is a block grant monthly report. I think I'll just, you know what? I don't think you got it for me in the packet. I will get it out. I didn't find it online. I did get some correspondence. Charter Communications has announced that after October 30th, the Sportsman channel will no longer be available. That's two channels, 217 and 768, will no longer be. That's all I have. Council, any other further business to come before us? Hearing none, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
I so move.
I'll second that.
Very good. Good night, everybody. Thank you for attending. Cheap entertainment.